Alrighty, our next speaker is going to be Imam Musri. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Musri? Musri? And I'm going to put my glasses on so I can really look smart, right? Imam Muhammad Musri is the president and senior imam of the Islamic Society of Central Florida, which includes 10 mosques, a full-time accredited school K-12, a child care center, a social services organization, and an interfaith outreach department, which provides hospital and prison chaplains and partners with various faith communities. To promote peace and respect among all people, he served for 4 years as the co-chair of the Interfaith Council of Central Florida. With that, Imam.
Thank you. The question is how to reach to zero, how to eliminate those weapons. The weapons are already here. They have been used, and we have seen the evil of that. Now, most politicians everywhere, they find reasons and excuses to keep the weapons. And even though they know that they can never win. I mean, in certain wars, you can win if you have conventional weapons, but with nuclear weapons, you don't actually win. Everybody loses. It's a nuclear holocaust. So the way that we view it from Islam, that nuclear weapons are totally forbidden, totally unacceptable. God would not in any way accept that we as human beings kill each other, and here we are not just killing each other, we're killing the whole creation around us, plant life, animals, insects, everything. And as my colleague said, you know, we have to think about if God prohibited the killing of one individual, one human being, would he approve the killing of thousands or millions or billions? And that's what we are capable of doing right now. Throughout human history, we could only have to come in contact with each other to hurt each other. But today, we don't have to. Some people can push buttons, and these ballistic missiles can cross continents and can wipe out entire nations. And, you know, some politicians feel that's okay. And it is you, it's your future, it's your life that you have to worry about. Your children, your grandchildren. Yes, we survived it, Professor, survived the Cold War because there was some, you know, balance. But you know what? It's such a huge risk. Anytime, any day, if, say, Ukraine's conflict goes out of control, okay? You have multiple nations that have nuclear weapons in the area. The Russians have it, the Ukrainians have it, the French, the English, we do. So everybody have those weapons. Now, sometimes our politicians keep using the term, you know, weapons of mass destruction when they're talking about small bombs, okay? I'm against any bombs, but they kind of minimize this concept. Like, you know, when the Boston bomber used, you know, pressure cooker, you can't compare that to a nuclear weapon. Now, when they start using the term weapon of mass destruction, I don't think of a nuclear bomb like the bombs we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I think of pressure cooker. So I tell my children, please stay away from the bomb. It's on the stove. You know, it's making noise. You have to, you know, give these people, give the people of the world a distinction that we're talking about something that can wipe out life altogether. There won't be future for humanity. So we should not minimize it. We should choose a different name really for it. They're bad, but there's still a big difference, as Pastor Jim said. Now, we are the only nation who have used it so far. Made the bomb, got the genie out of the bottle, and went and actually dropped not one, but two. Okay? And you know what's bad about that is until today, we do not, as Americans, feel guilty about it. We have justified it as it was a great step to end World War II. And if it wasn't dropped, probably the war would have continued on and claimed more lives. And as long as we think that way, we're never going to come face to face with reality and say we did something horrible. As a nation, our leaders, I can't say the American people did it, I can't say the US military did it, I say few people made that decision on our behalf, and we should, it's about time for us, 70 years later, to say, look, what happened was horrible. We did something that we should never have done. We should not have pursued constructing the weapon, and we should not have used it after we did. And I know that, you know, the scientists appealed to the president back then, Albert Einstein, you know, don't do it. So we will not fix this problem, we will not get to it until we collectively as a nation demand from our leaders to first recognize that evil that was done in our name, and number two, to say as a pledge to remove that guilt, that we have to eliminate our arsenal. And most politicians say that's crazy. You know, if we eliminated our arsenal, 7,000, 8,000 warheads, who guarantees the Russians would do it? Okay. And as Nelson said, you know, it doesn't take 7,000 warheads. You know, you're going to use few in the beginning and that's it. But thousands are needed to have them everywhere around the globe on, you know, bombers flying in the air, submarines in the oceans, you know, in islands like the Indian Ocean, we kicked out people from Diego Garcia and put air base there. So we are close to the action. And by the way, the START treaty that the president renegotiated, and it was one of his foreign policy great achievements, actually wasn't so great achievement, because it did not say to the Russians, you have to stop developing more warheads. They're actually making more as we speak. All what we were interested in is limiting their ability to deliver them, so we want them not to have them in submarines or in certain locations. That just gives us the edge to have a first strike. But that is, it's not good. It means that still, as you produce more, the possibility of some rogue individuals stealing weapons, doing something, is still out there because there are just too many of them. And Reagan and Gorbachev started way back when, in the 80s, and we are 30 years later, 35 years later, and we still have thousands, 15,000 between the two nations alone. So we in Islam are not against nuclear science. It has many useful things. God intended for us to, you know, develop this science, use it for energy, for other things, and it has its dangers and limitations, but we have to have, you know, religion plays an important role. For me, as a Muslim, there is no time or place under any circumstance that nuclear weapons are acceptable. I don't care if I have none and the Russians have 10,000 warheads, it does not give me the right to develop a single one. because I should never use it under any circumstance. And it's interesting that religion should have played an important role. I mean, most of those who have the weapons are so-called Christian nations. The Soviets had it, the Americans, the Europeans, and for Christianity, which we know is a religion of peace, what would Jesus do about this? Would Jesus accept what we or our leaders are doing there? So I will end with this. How do we eliminate them? When we start holding our leaders accountable. You know, today, this issue is not on the ballot. No candidate for president or for Congress ever is asked a question, what would you do about the stockpiles that we have? What's your plan to end or eliminate nuclear weapons in the world? The young people, you have to make that on the agenda. You have to say, I'm going to vote for the leader who comes up with a plan, a smart, genius plan to do away, not just ours, but everybody else's nuclear weapons. Why do nations have it? To protect themselves against each other. Let's come up with a plan to protect each other, protect these nations without having to use those ultimate weapons. So use the social media to rate people. Use the social media to identify candidates who have ideas. And use the social media to rate leaders based on if this issue is important to them or not. We cannot just keep kicking this can down the road and say, we hope, let's keep our fingers crossed that this is not going to happen. Well, it is one day, it takes one mistake for this genie to be out. Thank you.